Hi, this is Hina Khandelwal from Indulge Express, and today we have Kirti Kulhari and Bilal Siddiqi talking to us about Bar of Blood. I would like to start from you. I've seen the show now, and yes.
Yay!
First of all, you look absolutely gorgeous. I think the setting and the scene really, really suits you.
Thank you.
I wanted to understand from you, how did you internalize this character? And tell us something about the character.
So I play the role of Jannat Murray, and she is she's a Baluchi girl. She's born and brought up there. She spent some time in UK studying. She's also an artist, but she also belongs to, her father was someone who ruled, who kind of led the whole freedom movement for Baluchistan, and she is, she after the father dies, and she's somebody who's kind of taken over, and she has a brother who she is very, very close to, and who's also the future leader, and she's kind of trying to groom him into becoming a good one. And Jannat is someone who has come back home. She could have chosen to just stay and be an artist, which is what she truly loves, but instead she chose to come back home and fight for her people, be there for her people who really need her. And I think Jannat is a beautifully written character. She is somebody I think you just instantly fall in love with. I remember, being narrated Jannat, and I'm like, who is this person, and she's so strong. She really just personifies strength, physical, mental, emotional, she's just so strong, and she's very selfless, and a great balance. She has a great balance between her head and her heart, and I think that is such an important quality for anybody to possess. And about internalizing Jannat, there's this one preparation of the role, which is the being a Baluchi, the Urdu, a little bit of the dialect, the way she looks, the way what all the actual conditions that my character is kind of living in, kind of understanding that. And there is this other side, which is, of course, as you said, internalization and getting the emotional graph of the character right, which is such a complex process. I think it's kind of tough to always put this in words as to what I did to kind of internalize it. But I think this, the writing, there's so much in the text. You keep digging into the text and keep, going deeper and deeper into. You try and find different layers to a single line that's written. And I think slowly and steadily you kind of you go deeper, and the depth is what makes anything come alive on screen, and it's always very interesting to watch that.
Talking about text, Bilal, you wrote it when you were 20. This is conflict, Balochistan, ISI. What was on your mind and how did you build it up?
I've been a big fan of spy thrillers ever since I was like a kid, and this book was actually not supposed to be for anyone else's consumption but my own. It was just something I started in my notebook, writing just for the fun, for myself. But I was also assisting Hussain Zaidi, the crime writer, on his books, and he asked me if I was writing something of my own at that point. And I did send him a few chapters of Bard, and he really enjoyed it, but he didn't tell me at that point. He didn't get back to me for a month, and I was really panicking, wondering what's happened. Turns out he had actually sent it to Penguin, who eventually became my publishers. So it was a dream to have that being published as a book. And then when that happened, I never, in my wildest of dreams, imagined that it would be a Netflix show. But as to answer your question, yes, Hussain sir helped me with a lot of research. He helped me shape the narrative. It's a work of fiction, so it's character driven, but a lot of it, the research that I did, was with his assistance.
Yeah, because Hussain Zaidi is somebody who's a master of this genre, and when he writes, you can just read it and see it into a script.
Yeah, that's a quality actually that I've tried to imbibe from him. He's trained me to write like that, try to write it as visually as possible. Yeah. So in some places it may work, some places it may not for the purposes of a book, but but I'm learning that as I'm writing.
At what stage did you, develop it into a web series? Did Netflix approach you? Did you approach them? How did it happen?
It was actually Gaurav and Shahrukh sir's idea at Red Chillies. They had this idea to pitch the book as a show to them, to Netflix, because they were looking to expand their relationships beyond just the licensing of existing Red Chillies films. So we worked on the pitch, Gaurav and I, for around 4 odd months. Shahrukh sir had several inputs, one of which was to introduce a character, a local Baluchi girl. And that's where the idea of Jannat's character came in. And her entry into the show actually, just elevated the narrative. So we made that pitch to Netflix. Then we waited for about another 30-40 days before they greenlit it. So it was happening quite, smoothly.
And at what point did you come on board, and what was it that made you say yes to it?
I don't know at what point, but I think couple of their main cast was cast, and then I got a call to meet them for Jannat. And I knew I was not part of the whole show. I was going to come in at some point and all of that. But I think I was still open to it. I'm like, let's see what is it about. And as I said, instantly, like everything about Jannat. To start with, the fact that she's a Baluchi girl, I think for me, I don't know if I would have been as interested if she was not a Baluchi girl. Like if she was any Indian girl and if she had a similar story, I would be still like okay. But I think the fact that she was a Baluchi girl, the whole thing goes back to Balochistan, and the as I said, the situation that's really the kind of crisis that this character is kind of living in and surviving in, and the kind of as I said, the strength she portrays as a character, the complexities, there's so much conflicts in her life from every moment to moment. It's like there's so much going on. I think all of this was like, it's just, I remember just pretty much hearing the narration and going like, in my head and my heart, I was like, oh wow, this sounds like something I must do. I hope all of this works out. So yeah.
Regardless of your screen time, you always manage to leave an impact. Even in Uri, which had a very small role, you managed to stand out even in the entire ensemble that was there. How do you go about picking the scripts? What is it that you look for when you're picking the roles in scripts?
I think one of the very important things is the character. I have to fall in love with the character that I'm spoken about. It's like, if I don't fall in love with the character, how will people do that? And as I said, the more complex it is, the more I need to see a scope for depth. It might be a very simple character on paper, but if I feel that, sometimes I also take it as a challenge to upon myself, that okay, it sounds very simple, this is what she's doing, she has 5 scenes. If I give you an example of Uri, how much can I do with it? What can I bring to it? That is a challenge for me. So I think it's a mix of what I'm presented with and the potential that the character has for me to work on. It has to get me out of my comfort zone. I can't be like, oh, okay, this I can do. For me, that's actually boring. I will actually say no purely on the basis of, I can do this, and I don't want to do something I think I can already do. So, I think pretty much that here, and just the I think just the fact that I love acting so much, just the fact that I approach my characters from the right space, I would say, it just, I think, makes so much of a difference.
And how difficult was adapting it for a web series?
It was difficult in the sense that writing a show is vastly different from writing a book and a film. It's a longer process. You have to abide by certain laws of writing that apply only to long form, right? And because it was my own book, I had that head start, at least to kind of know where the story lacks certain depth or needs certain things to be changed. Mayank Tiwari, who's written Newton and is the lead screenwriter on our show, he came in with a very fresh perspective and interesting voice on how he wanted to approach the subject. So between Mayank, me, Gaurav, Ribu, four of us, we kind of worked for a good 8-9 months and shaped the scripts before we actually even approached actors. So it was a long it was a long span of time, but it was good fun. It was definitely good fun.
And when you're writing a web series, we often say that because the arc of the character,
Yeah.
it can be explored in this medium properly. How difficult is it to pen it down in the paper?
It's actually better because it's a problem of plenty. Because when you write down a character, you actually some writers do it another way, but the way Mayank and I decided to approach this was let's work out a backstory, and then let's figure how much of that we need in our show. And you have 7 odd hours to play with, or 7 episodes of which are 5 hours. 5 hours to play with.
Not 6 hours actually. It's about 45 minutes each.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
In that zone. So so you get to just delve into characters deeper, and you get to spend more time with them. But this is a thriller. It's a spy thriller. It needs a certain pace and tonality. So we've kind of stuck with the usual trappings a spy thriller comes with, but we've tried to enhance it with unique characters. Like there's Jannat, there are the Balochis and their tribe, the tribesmen. There's a change in, if you've read the book, there's a guy called Nihar. He was on the mission. In this, he's back in the field. So we made changes like that.
And Kirti, it's been almost a decade doing, ever since the first film, and now, how does it feel right now? What's the present space like?
I feel old. That's sad. No, it's been a great journey. I cannot. I'm not the same person I used to be, and I've grown so much as an actor, grown so much as a person, and I'm just so happy and content, at this point that I came here to be an actor. Like for some reason I was like, I'm an actor, and I want to be an actor. And I think the fact that I have followed that path, without getting, like diverted, or without getting very tempted by, other stuff that comes in this field. And I have made, I've just like made a position for myself where people just, take me seriously as an actor. People respect me for my craft. I think that feels very, very fulfilling, and I still have a long way to go.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
lovely to have you here.
Thanks a lot.
Hi guys, I'm Kirti Kulhari. Please like, comment and subscribe to Indulge Express.